You said, I believed. It is done. Have you had that experience? That you leaned in on the promise, the principles that we believe in. You said your mastermind request. You said your prayer. You expressed your belief that healing was possible, that prosperity could be your experience. You said, you believed. If you have had the experience of it being done, would you rise? This morning I'm going to ask you, even if right now you have not had the experience of believing, of saying, and being able to exclaim that it is done, I'm going to ask you to rise to your feet too. Allow us to be the bridge. Allow your words as we affirm together the truth of what we have experienced, that we want to experience in greater ways. Let's bring our big voice. Our voice that allows everybody, especially the person next to us, know that we believe, that we know, that we have experienced, that we know it personally for us, and we know it for you. Together, I am awake to the limitless nature of the divine within me. I am no longer bound by yesterday's vision. I am standing in today's revelation. I release every small thought I have ever held about what is possible for my life. I let go. I let God. I step forward into sacred possibility. I say yes to the more that is seeking to express as me and through me, and so it is. Wow. I don't know about you, but God showed up this morning. Wow. I was standing there listening to the angels sing. I'm thinking, gosh, what am I going to say? And all of a sudden, not one, but two. I'm going to challenge all of us this morning. And I'm going to challenge us from the point of view that the faith that we have walked, the experience that we have had, can be even greater than we have ever experienced before, and more powerful than we have ever prayed for before. My question for you this morning is, what are you believing for? That song, this call and response, this powerful message through song, through lyric. I'm asking you, what are you believing for? What is it that your soul actually needs right now? What is it? You know, in our spiritual journey, the experience that we had when we were teens, maybe we grew up in a traditional religion or none at all. Maybe there was somebody in our life that had a powerful spiritual presence about themselves that had nothing to do with religion, but we were still young. Maybe we were as young as what we saw this morning. Why are all these people getting together once a week only? They all sing. They all seem cool. And then we're teenagers. And our experience with the universe is often, as teens, I want you to think about what your experience with the universe was when you were a teenager. I know for me what it was desperately praying to trade anything I could for what was going on in my life in that moment for something better. And I was willing to make any deal with any entity at any time for that to change. Because as a teenager, it was hell for me. I had a mentally ill mom. I was the oldest of 3. And God didn't seem very accessible. But the pain of the present was a calling for me to reach out, to trade that life for something different. And again, I was willing to make that trade with anybody, with anything. And then we become adults, whatever that means. I always say that, right, we're still working on it. I always say that not much good happens before 27 that you can stand on. For those of you who are parents or adults, not parents or adults, if you're parents or grandparents, adult children don't seem to wake up until they're about 27. No offense to those of you who are younger, because you are just advanced. If you're younger than 27 and you're hearing this, we know that you're anointed and appointed. But for the rest of us, oh, I was so glad I got married later in life. I would have been divorced 14 times. But that 20-something wasn't so much the praying to a God to fix things, but maybe we could make a deal with God, with the universe. I'm going to do a little bit of living, but you keep me safe and protected. The maturity, the spiritual maturity in this space and in this room and in our calling is that we become aware of the fact that we are channels for good to flow through us. We are not waiting for God to show up in our life. We are waiting to show up for God in our life. To be a channel for that, to be that, not to wait for it. There are certainly those times when we are brought to our knees and we pray for something to be fixed, to be able to get through. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of how we live, and by the way, we don't live, although our experience can be crisis to crisis to crisis, and that's a hard way to live. And in life, we all have those crises. We do. We can't avoid them. We lose people that we love. We deal with an unexpected loss of a job, of a relationship. Life shows up. But that isn't living, that's surviving. That's being able to move through, to know that you can be delivered. But to be able to live means that our consciousness has to get to the space where we evolve, and that what we were when we were younger, or the experience of praying and demonstrating when we were 25, is different than who we are now. And if we believe this, we have to be able to look at anybody in this room and be able to affirm that you're not the person you were, insert the date. You are not the person you were yesterday. And if that's true, it means that we need to believe in an evolutionary God, an evolutionary spiritual experience. It means that our miracle yesterday is not the miracle today, and certainly it is not the miracle tomorrow. But if we're going to have that experience, if that is going to be our truth, we have to expand our consciousness. We have to get in alignment with that. Now, some might say, like the old part of me that grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, there's a few of you in this room, because every time I mention that, I have somebody else that comes up and says, I was too. So there's that part of me that had that instilled at a very young age. The relationship between myself and God was punitive, performative. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want my children to live in that world. I feel that our world right now, no matter the headline, no matter the story, the illness within it, the sickness within it, is the underlying belief that we are not the same, that we are not all divine children, that somehow we are all separated from each other. You follow me? Yeah. So there's a part of my old thinking that makes me a little nervous when I start to believe differently. When I heard in this community an opportunity to believe in a powerful spiritual walk that wasn't woo-woo, but could be provable, that could be experienced, not only in my life, and by the way, the faith that I had meant it wasn't going to happen in my life, but I was certainly glad to believe for you. Yes. I could believe in it for you. I was last at that table. Last at that table in terms of my belief and my understanding for me. But we have been left principles, gifted opportunities to listen, to learn. Some of those gifts came thousands of years ago. Isaiah 43, 18 through 19 challenges all of us to move beyond what the prayers and the miracles were yesterday into what they need to be today. What is it that we are experiencing today? Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? How many of you in your experience, in your life, remember when you started doing a new thing? That you realized that the job you were in no longer served you. Potentially the relationship you were in no longer honored you because it was abusive. That the way you woke up every morning, or maybe at 2 p.m, was no longer serving you. And it was time for you to do a new thing. Now, when we do that, there is a chorus that greets us, usually led by our own voice. What are you thinking? And then you walk into the person you might have coffee with and, oh, you better not do that. You know how bad the job market is right now? Oh, a new relationship? You do realize the last 3 have been the same person. The idea that you want something different, have you, right? And sometimes they come from the closest of us. Those who surprise us, who we think are on our own team. But truly, our voice is the one leading that chorus. It's the hardest sometimes to be able to move past our own resistance, to be able to experience this promise. The truth of living is that we are always expanding, always changing, always growing. Always. We're in the middle of Black History Month. First generation desired to be free. Is that where the evolution of Black history stopped? No. Hell no. The second generation desired to survive. Because freedom came with a cost. The third generation desired to be educated when a world said you couldn't be. A fourth generation expected to be equal, and today's generation expects to lead. Yes. The evolution of the Black experience is the evolution and the way shower for all. It is not segmented to a single group of people. It is the way shower for the human race. If we get stuck imagine that the evolution stopped at surviving. And that's what rubs us today, because we see people still struggling to just survive. That's what irritates us. The irritation is not unhealthy. The irritation is a necessity. It is the powerful part that says that is an old experience and we're leaving it behind. And those of you who cannot see that, we see beyond you. We have some young people who are in this room right now. They're not just interested in getting educated. They're interested in leading. And I would suggest to you, they're not just looking to lead from a place of power, they're looking to lead and change. That's where the oxygen is for this generation. And I would suggest to all of us that that is where we need to live. Where is it that we're holding on to the deliverance of the God and the experience of our being that happened 40 years ago? We all have that experience. In my experience, Liz and I wanted to have kids. We've shared that story in this community. We adopted, and within 24 hours, the miracle, the mastermind answer, was taken from us. Mom wanted her child back. Brought us to our knees. And this morning, my son, who's sitting in the back corner, drove me here. At 16. 15, he'll remind me. If my dream, if my mastermind request, if the miracle that I was experiencing was so locked into the past, I wouldn't be in a space to be able to experience the miracle of today. My thinking, our thinking, the universe's thinking, the societal thinking has to adjust to be able to allow the miracles to flow now. You think the universe is limited, that the capacity for miracles are what they were 40 years ago? In your life? In this world? There's not any space on this planet, in this human experience, is what was true 40 years ago, the capacity of what is available to us tomorrow. But it requires us to step into an experience and be willing to expand our consciousness so that we can have that be our experience. Charles Fillmore says, we increase our capacity to receive by expanding our consciousness. Now, where's the evidence of that? We've shared a little bit of that evidence. You can probably think about even more examples of that in your own life. But in the Bible, there's great examples of it. Just look at the story of the Israelites trying to get out of Egypt. They had some of the best movie production available at the time. They parted Red Seas. They had locusts that came from the skies. They had every version of today's movies on steroids. Because they were just subject to what was going on. They had to believe in a God who would deliver them. Oh, here comes the Red Sea. Here we are. Your turn. But they still had to cross the sea. They still had to go through. They still had to make it into the promised land. Now, what happened when it happened there? When they got there, they got mad at God. I like the big hieroglyphics and all of the dramatic stories. I loved that. Where's that God? Where's the God that delivered us? How did God show up then? Manna from heaven. Our daily bread. Not some big production, but showing up in a way that changed the relationship with a higher power. Have you not seen your higher power changed? Your experience with your higher power change? If your experience with your higher power is still external, that you're praying away to that God, that's the Israelites who are praying for the big miracle that's going to be his responsibility, not mine. Not mine. Now, in unity and in New Thought, it's hard to do this work. When we were growing up, the God of our being, when we were little, it was a lot easier. He shows up on Christmas. He's a bunny at Easter. I lose a tooth. The higher power was a very childlike experience. And in religion, we can keep it that way. Live your life the way you're going to live it. touch into the spiritual community every once in a while. And when we have your funeral, I have yet to go to a funeral that the person is sent somewhere else. They're all, right? Have you ever, I have yet to be, I'm sure there are those funerals that the person's gotten up there and said, well, we know how they lived and we know where they are and it's a little warm. But the vast majority of our experience is when somebody moves on from this space. That's not the conversation. But the truth of it is, when we walk away from that funeral, from that celebration of life service, we all walk away knowing who they were. We know who they were. We don't care about where they are. We care how they showed up when they were here. Did they touch our hearts? Did they leave us wisdom? Did they move us in a place that we couldn't have gotten to without them? When you think about the people who really moved you in your life, that's what you remember. That was heaven on earth. That was a divine angel walking and having their being and influencing your life. And I believe, looking at the faces in this room, that there are many of you here who show up that way for others. That's why we gather together. I haven't anybody come to me yet and say, don't sit me next to them. I don't like them in this community. Right? Don't come to me after the service and tell me about that. But I haven't had that. In fact, I watch you when Daisy engages us and asks us to celebrate as a community, to connect with each other. I see the joy, the love, the hope, the prayer that is the connection that is Renaissance Unity. I see it. I believe in that. I believe that that is what this community is. Ephesians 3:20. If you are ever in a place where you're wondering if you're crazy, take either of these two scriptures today and put them on your phone. I mean, am I crazy to believe that I can experience the life that I'm asking for? If you feel that way, tap into these scriptures. Ephesians 3:20 says, God can do anything, you know, far more than you could ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dreams. He does it not by pushing us around, but by working within us. His Spirit deeply and gently within us. How many of you have had that experience? Yeah, see, this is what I'm asking you to see in each other. The experience of Job, where everything happened to Job, carries too much weight into the human experience. We begin to think that that's how life is. Why has it happened to me? Oh, wait till tomorrow. If you think today was bad, wait till tomorrow. This is the truth. This is the truth for each and every person. And it is also true that we can be in the darkest of spaces and wonder if this is true. I'm going to ask you, though, to think about what are your wildest dreams, and to recognize that in your life, in each of our lives, we're experiencing God, the same God, but in a different season. Your experience today is not what it was 10 years ago. But your experience 10 years ago when you were delivered, when you experienced a profound lesson in life, invites you to dream bigger today. There are a lot of us in this community who have been willing to share that journey, who have been in those dark places where it seems like there's no way forward. And often we celebrate that part. But the true celebration, the real source of hope is, while that was true then, every season delivers a new, more magnificent experience for all of us when we're on that journey. Will you join me in welcoming from our community, Cheryl Townsville? Cheryl? Now, for those of you who don't know, you're watching a miracle right now, because it wasn't just a few years ago she couldn't walk. And this isn't Benny Hinn telling you something. This is Cheryl Townsville sharing something. Now, I remember Cheryl being on the phone, sobbing. I was at Fresh Approach at Campbell and Lincoln taking your call. It was early in the morning. And that was no fake. It was painful. There was no light in your moment, in that moment, other than, I got to believe that somebody else believes that this isn't all I get. And she walked up here. She walked up here. Now, your challenge may not be the ability to walk physically. Your challenge may not be a physical one, but your miracle is no less. Now, I asked Cheryl to share with me this week because she's had something cooking for the last couple of weeks. And we were talking, like, this is not about being broken and delivered. That you've lived. You have lived that. You have experienced that. But that's several episodes ago, cliffhangers ago, highly rated shows ago. But you have something really powerful to share about how your evolved consciousness has created an equal miracle, but not from the broken space, but from a place of strength today. So now they're all excited to hear what it is. What is it?
Thanks, Brett. Good morning, RU. I'm really happy and grateful to be here today and to have my son, that's S-U-N, with me today. But Brett is right. A few years ago, I was experiencing a rare autoimmune condition that I had extreme pain all day, every day, and I had challenges walking. And as my brother said, at first I was afraid I was going to die, and then I was afraid I wasn't, because the pain was just that immense. But, you know, today's message is about strength. And a few months ago, last year, I had shared with Brett that I was ready to talk about strength and power. And it was shortly after a couple of messages, one from Reverend Wilma and one from Reverend Glenn. I can't remember the exact timing of your messages, but basically it really kind of touched on something that I had been struggling with for a while. I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland several years ago, and I was about two miles away from Iyanla Vanzant's Inner Visions Spiritual Development. I'm going to screw up the name of this institute, but it was the Institute for Spiritual Development. And it was a 2-year program that I was going through. And the first year, all of us had, you know, the same core curriculum. And then the second year would be when you split up and you either go to become a preacher or you become, I can't remember if it was a coach or healer. But I was processing at that time, it was extreme emotional distress that I was in, not physical. I was in the best place, I thought, of my life. I was at the zenith, I thought, of my career. I was running a national trade association. I had a board of C-suite individuals that I reported to and that I was supporting. But I was in great distress emotionally. And Iyanla had a session with her one day, and she said, "Stop resenting your power." And I just, and in that moment, I felt like, well, once again, nobody's seeing my humanity, because I had lived a life, oldest, lived a life of just high expectations. So anyway, Jeremy Bearimy, if anybody knows a good place, Jeremy Bearimy, Journey of Life, have been through several periods of unemployment, underemployment, whatever. And what I've been praying with our prayer, Sunday prayer group, mastermind group, is, I'm looking for a job. And you talk about people who, speak to you, are you crazy for doing that? Many people thought I should just retire. And I really felt like, my brain still works. I mean, I can still work. I'm not incapable of working. So there are many times I felt like this just isn't working. Then out of the blue, but through the power of LinkedIn, I heard from someone who said, we have a position and we think that you would really be an excellent candidate for it. If you're interested and if you're available for full-time work, give me a call. And he gave me a cell phone. So I called and we spoke. And I went in person to meet with him. And then later on, I was called back for a second, quote unquote, interview, which was really a conversation. I met with him and the guy that he reports to. And they offered me a position. And tomorrow, I will be in my first full-time on-site job, because I've worked remotely since 2018. But on-site, I will be appointed as the Grants and Philanthropy Director for the City of Westland.
Remember that old guy, Paul Harvey? And now let me tell you the rest of the story. So this is the miracle that she's celebrating today. You called me 3 weeks ago and said, you're not going to believe this. And I said, hey, would you be willing to share? Because you're starting on February 9th. Would you be willing to come on February 8th and to share? There's no mistake that Cheryl got that call, because she has an incredible professional gift. Incredible. The miracle is, from when she couldn't walk, couldn't work, couldn't bear to carry the emotion that you were dealing with, and over the years, the prayer, the desire, the mastermind request for her was for a job. And not just a job, but a place that would value her. And we celebrated so many miracles along the way. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, this is an international position. Can you believe I might fly to Dubai? Like, each version of it was another layer of a miracle, yes, that you were leaning into.
Yes.
And this one exceeds all others. Why? Why? Because you were willing, no matter what, to stand in the belief and in the truth of who you are, that it is yours. I won't tell Cheryl's age, but I have a text that can prove it. But she said, I didn't believe in my age being a limiter. I heard the voice, but I didn't believe. You were called. You believed. And it is done. We love you.
Yeah. Love you, Renaissance Unity. Love you, Brett. Love you, Wilma.
We love you. Where's Ade? Ade, will you stand up? Because we want to love on the son. We love you, Ade. We love how you pour into your mom. And you know how important that is for her. And you've been a miracle in experiencing your own miracle. This isn't Sundays with Cheryl. This is Sunday with Cheryl reminding all of us that we are divine, divinely inspired, and that includes you, Ade. Your name is no joke. It was chosen for a reason, and we see you rising. We love you both. Thanks, Cheryl. So here comes the audacious question for you. You don't have to speak next Sunday. But what if the universe is prepared to show up differently because you're different? What if your experience can be different because you're different? You're not the person you were yesterday. You're not going to be the person you will be tomorrow. And if that is true, do you see it for Cheryl? Do you see that? The prayer for being able to heal emotionally, to heal physically, that took a lot of work. Took a lot of work. Took a lot of work. And in this community, we believe in the power of prayer, but we also understand that prayer requires work. Johnny Coleman reminded us it works if you work it. You've been a demonstration of working it. So the question to all of us here is, what's the old prayer you've been carrying around for 40 years? She was willing to release the physical healing, the emotional healing, the first miracle of a job, the second miracle of a job, the third miracle of a job. And by the way, each year she got older. So she had reason to believe that that miracle now would not occur. And yet you start tomorrow. You start tomorrow. I had to serve as a reference for you, so I had to tell the truth about her age. She starts tomorrow. Tomorrow. So what is it in your life, in your experience, where you can lean in and decide to dream differently? You put up the next slide, Donnie. What outdated expectation am I carrying? What does my soul actually need right now? And what would I believe for if I had the audacity to expect it? Now, I would suggest to you, question number 3, if Cheryl didn't have the audacity to take that phone call to continue the conversation, if she didn't have the audacity to believe that she lives and has her being in a universe that is responding to her, we would be praying for a job for Cheryl. And I would believe that would also live backwards. We would have emotional upset, we'd have physical upset, and we'd be reversing our prayers to get you to rise out of the tomb that you're out of. Same's for all of us. The same is true for all of us. What is it that where we need to be able to lean in and have that audacity? To believe. We all have the evidence that the universe has shown up. There are miracles in this room. Previous versions of ourselves that were delivered from something that we didn't think we could get through. Something that happened that was amazing. Your life will come alive if you live today. If you choose to breathe in today